Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us. My name is Kelsey Franklin with Aberdeen Group, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar, Self-Service Analytics for Just-in-Time Insight and User Empowerment. The webinar today is hosted by Aberdeen Group and sponsored by DrivenBI. Our presenters are Peter Krensky, Research Analyst of Analytics and Business Intelligence at Aberdeen Group, and Kathleen Douglas, Senior Vice President of Worldwide Sales and Alliances at DrivenBI. If you'd like to read their full bios, please use the drop-down arrow below their photos on the left of your screen. We have about 45 minutes of content prepared today, followed by a 15-minute Q&A session. I encourage you all to submit your questions throughout the webinar using the Q&A field on the top left of your screen, and our presenters will try to address as many of your questions as possible at the end. To the right of your screen is our resource list. There you'll find today's presentation deck, as well as some additional data sheets and content about today's webinar. You'll also see our Twitter widget on the right, where you can live tweet the event with the hashtag #ABGSelfService. And now I'm going to turn it over to Peter to start the presentation.
Thank you, Kelsey, and welcome everyone. I'm Peter Krensky, and I'm a research analyst in the analytics practice here at Aberdeen. And I'm going to be sharing some of our research today on how self-service capabilities and a cloud data hub are going to help your analytical minds produce insight when it matters. So what are the findings we're going to be discussing today? We're going to be talking about some of the analytical issues that keep decision makers up at night, such as the need to become more data-driven to remain competitive and becoming more data-driven, especially at the line of business level. We're also going to be looking at a maturity cut that we performed to look at top performers, to look at these best-in-class companies. And we're going to look at the best practices of these top performers. And one thing that we found is the top performers take steps to empower their business users and make them able to independently procure data and develop analysis on their own. And we're going to see that the technology decisions of the best-in-class reflect the need for timely user-generated insight. We're also going to isolate some organizations in our survey data that currently use a cloud data hub and have high levels of self-service. So we're going to be able to see the positive impact of those capabilities and the impact that they have on user satisfaction, the wideness of access to BI tools, and also their effect on fostering an analytical culture throughout the organization. And as we go through the data, we're going to be reminded that timely insight is achieved by these agile users who are not dependent on IT and aren't forced to overcome any infrastructure challenges. And we'll see the impact of these users as they get the data they need and are able to consistently use analytics to take both more intelligent action and then make better decisions in the future. So quickly, I want to walk you through the Aberdeen research methodology. We had over 400 individuals who were working in a variety of industries and in a variety of roles who responded to our 2015 Business Analytics Survey last month. And they gave us a lot of insight into their organizations and their analytical operations. So for the kinds of questions we asked, here at Aberdeen, we use something called the PACE methodology. And PACE stands for Pressures, Actions, Capabilities, and Enablers. So we're able to see what are the drivers of analytical investment? What are the pain points that drive investment in BI tools? And then what are the big picture strategies that these companies are using when it comes to analytics? And when we look at capabilities, we're looking at the processes. How are they organizing around analytics? How are they managing knowledge? How are they managing performance? And then for enablers, we want to look at the actual technology. So what kind of BI tools are being used? How much self-service do they deliver to users? Are they delivered in the cloud? And once we've gotten through PACE, we also collect data on a number of metrics. So we look at financials, revenue, cost, profit, and then we also collect data around a number of measures of analytical performance. So we want to know how often can you get data in the decision window? Are you improving trust? Are you improving user collaboration? How satisfied are your users with their data and with their tools? And once we've collected all that data, we're able to move into the second part of our methodology, and that's creating 3 maturity classes. So in this case, we created maturity classes based on 3 metrics. The first one being timely information access. So we have this idea that for any analytical thinker, any decision maker, they're presented with a decision and they have some amount of time to collect data and perform analysis and bring that analysis to bear on the decision. So the question is, how often, what percentage of the time are you able to bring that and get that data in time to use it for a decision before that decision deadline? And we call that the decision window. So that was our first metric, and then we also looked at organic revenue improvement and also operating profit improvement. And every single organization we surveyed was scored on these 3 metrics, and that gives us our 3 groups. The top 20% of performers are our best in class. The middle 50% are our industry average, and the bottom 30% are our laggards. And a lot of times we want to isolate those best in class, so we combine industry average and laggards into a group we call all others, and we'll have some charts comparing the best in class to all others. And now with that maturity class framework in hand, we're able to see what technologies and what capabilities correlate with top performance. So this is what the best in class end up looking like. We talked about that decision window, that frequency of access to information, and the best in class are able to get it 93% of the time. And if you compare them to laggards who are only able to do it less than half of the time. So they're doing a lot of decisions based on incomplete information or simply intuition in the moment. We see the best in class have very healthy revenue growth, and we also see that they're becoming more profitable with 25% increase in operating profit compared to laggards who actually saw a 2% decrease in operating profit. So as we go through the research, this is just to keep in mind that best-in-class organizations are healthy and profitable companies, and they excel at providing their BI users with the information they need in a timely fashion. So with that, let's dive right into the findings. First thing that we looked at is the top pressures that are driving analytical investment. And the number one pressure is this need to remain competitive by becoming a more data-driven organization. So the technology decision makers, organizations recognize that they need to permeate information throughout the organization, especially at the line of business level. And they need to make analytics a part of daily decision making to remain competitive, to stay modern. Another problem they're facing, which is nothing new, is data silos. So you have all these departments performing analytics, but they're not communicating. The data becomes siloed. They're not able to access each other's information. And they end up facing the risk of conflicting records and end up duplicating analytical work and wasting valuable IT resources when if they could break down those silos, they wouldn't face that problem. A lot of organizations also face the opposite problem, where they have all this data, but nobody's able to get at it. It's available, but nobody is using it for meaningful analysis. And they need to find a way that they can connect. They have ambitious users that want to go get that data, that want to bring it to bear on their work, but they're not able to get it. And they need to find a way to connect the data to the users. And then finally, we see 24% of organizations have this vocal workforce, and their information workers are demanding better analytical capabilities and demanding better data access. And these analytical minds on the line of business are just no longer satisfied with doing simple spreadsheet analysis and doing things the old way or waiting on IT-generated reports. They want to do it themselves, and they want to do it their own way because they know what they need. So we've seen the pressures, and now we want to look at areas of discontent around analytics, where there's a little bit of pain. And we see right away that a lot of users feel their analytical tools are simply too difficult to use. And it's especially bad outside of the best-in-class here. So you have a lot of non-technical line of business users who simply are not comfortable interacting with infrastructure, they're not comfortable writing code, and they're not able to accomplish their analytical goals with their current tools. And if a tool is frustrating for these users, it's going to be abandoned, and they end up gathering dust on the shelf, and users will go back to the way they used to do things. And the tool might also be difficult and cause dissatisfaction because it requires heavy IT support. And we've done research, we've seen that heavy IT support can cause a lot of lengthy delays, a lot of user frustration, and a lot of unnecessary friction between IT and the line of business. So we see from this chart that the best-in-class have fewer instances of dissatisfaction. And they found a way to make BI intuitive and inviting to users at all levels. And we're going to be seeing later on how they're doing that. Users are really just as dissatisfied also with their data access. There's too many users that have to fight to overcome these data silos, and they're dealing with convoluted data warehouses, and they're not able to track down the right information. And too many of their systems don't facilitate user discovery of pertinent information. And it's important to remember, and the theme of this whole thing, that users not only need access, they need timely access. They need to be able to get at data when it matters. And it's turnaround time that's killing analytics in the line of business. And again, we see the best-in-class have found a way to mitigate this dissatisfaction. Finally, users are struggling with data and analytical capabilities that aren't relevant to their job role. So you have these information workers in the line of business, and they need more than the data and the analysis that's fed to them by IT. Marketers aren't getting the right information. Salespeople aren't getting the right information. Finance people are frustrated. So IT might not have the business savvy to understand exactly what data and what types of analytical capabilities and what types of views that workers who are down in the trenches really need. And so line of business users end up becoming dissatisfied because nobody knows what data really matters better than they do, but there's nothing they can do about the analytical capabilities at their fingertips. So we asked, why are the best in class reducing user dissatisfaction? What approach are they taking to BI that their users appreciate, that they're becoming more satisfied with the elements of BI? And we looked, and 2 data points really stuck out. So we saw that the best in class are 79% more likely than all others to have cloud BI, and they also have 43% more users per capita who are self-sufficient with analytics. So a cloud BI deployment and a cloud data hub is going to centralize data collection and distribution. So now users can access information from anywhere. And the centralized hub ensures that everyone is on the same page and also that everyone is working from a single version of the truth as they pull data, add to data, and perform analytics. Self-service capabilities are going to help users interact with data instead of having to interact with programs and infrastructure which they're just not as comfortable with. And they're able to build analysis without any IT assistance. And non-technical users can generate their own insights. Now, organizations can't control all the aspects that goes into becoming a best-in-class company, to being in the top 20% of performers. But they are able to control their approach to analytics, and they can follow the example of other top performers. So in this case, they can invest in a cloud data hub, and they can invest in more self-service capabilities. And this is what led us to ask, what happens when the cloud and self-service come together? And we're able to isolate organizations in our respondent pool that have deployed BI in the cloud and also deliver self-service capabilities to a high percentage of users. And here's what we found. So we see the organizations in orange here that have a cloud data hub and have more than 60% of their users operating in a self-service capacity. So cloud BI and self-service right away we see are turning the user satisfaction problem on its head. Organizations with cloud BI and high self-service have 78% more users per capita who are satisfied with the ease of use of their analytical tools. So users are now able to build the exact analysis they need without IT assistance. And it's clear from the percentages that organizations still have a lot of room for improvement here, and they should strive to find BI tools that users find easy to use and want to engage with, but already we start to see the impact. We're also seeing the impact in data access and boosting user satisfaction with data access. So in the cloud, users can now access their data from anywhere, and they know data is all in one place for them to go get. And a centralized cloud database is going to help organizations break down those data silos and overcome that pressure. Again, plenty of room for improvement, but organizations should really continue striving to get as much data up in the cloud as possible and to implement tools and capabilities that we're going to be talking about in the next few slides. And then finally, probably the biggest impact we see the cloud and high self-service having on user satisfaction is with satisfaction with relevance of analytical capabilities. So now you have people in sales, marketing, finance, customer service who rather than being fed data by IT, they can go proactively get the information that they know they need. And over time, as these lines of business have more relevant capabilities and they're getting the right data, they're getting the right views, and they're performing analysis that really matters in their day-to-day jobs, that's going to help analytical cultures take hold. And that's going to help data-driven decision-making become part of the line of business. And we're going to be looking at that later on as well.